If we can build emotional loyalty in our businesses with just a few relationships, it changes everything. And so the emotional loyalty is one where people will run through a wall to stay with you with your core business or service, or refer you to other people because you're emotionally connected with them.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Brian McRae, who is the master of human connections.
Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com.
My friend Brian McRae built a top 1% referral-based mortgage practice, not by being the best salesperson, but by being the most trusted advisor in the room. Brian and I were in the same mastermind group, and then I've spent some time in some of his groups that he was running until a few years ago. Now he coaches professionals on how to grow through trust instead of tactics. He's got a trusted advisor playbook and a momentum system to help people attract business without sacrificing their faith, family, or fitness. How do you create that emotional loyalty that people want to work with you instead of constantly trying to sell and push stuff on people they don't want? Let's meet Brian and see how he does it. Welcome to Richer Soul, Brian McRae. It's great to have you join us today.
Well, Rocky, it is a blessing to be here, and thank you for the trust and confidence in inviting me.
I am, as always, excited to learn from you. I've learned a lot from you in the past. I figured, hey, let's share it with everyone else along the way. We always like to start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
What was it like growing up, and how much did my family teach me about money? Well, growing up, my mom and dad got married pretty early, and or they were pretty young when they got married. So born in the late 60s. So there was some economic challenges, and I definitely didn't have the silver spoon. We had spoons, but they weren't silver. I can tell you that. So, but my mom and dad were both hard workers. What I learned about money there is that I needed more of it when I got out on my own. So, but I had a great upbringing. I don't remember wanting for much, but so we were provided for. I don't mean it that way, but I do remember there were times where my dad was out of work and powdered milk and things like that. So those were those memories. But in my teen years, we had clothes, we had nice stuff. I mean, had a car when I turned. Had access to a car. It wasn't my own, but anyway, so things were good there, but went off to school, and honestly, school didn't teach me much about money at all. There's virtually nothing going on there. So, and school was not, I was a decent high school student, but when I went into college, I don't know about you, Rocky, but for me, I grew up with a good friend group, and they say that you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. I had a really good group. They were mostly into sports. I didn't really, so it kept me out of the wrong crowds, but educationally, I was probably at the top of the food chain there. None of my peers were really focused on post high school stuff. So I got into college. I really was kind of drifting, didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know why I was going to school. I didn't have anybody encourage me. I stayed at a local college. And then I found a job, ironically. I was working 3 jobs, and one of my buddies said during the holidays, he goes, "Man, I made a couple $100 today. And I only worked like 6 hours." I'm like, is it legal? And he shared what he was doing, and he was in a sales job, and I was literally working 3 jobs, going to school. And I asked him who his boss was, and I pestered his boss till they hired me, and that got me my first job in straight commission, which was a consumer electronics company. I'm in college and making good money, and I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, I ended up dropping out of school because I just didn't have a direction on it, and started my professional career. I was dating my wife at the time. She wasn't real crazy about me dropping out of school, and she was correct, by the way. But thankful she trusted me. And I started. I told her, I said, I see a career path with this company, and I kept growing. I ended up climbing the corporate ladder there, and just had some success with that, but realized that wasn't going to be the fulfillment. It was retail, and my wife and I had gotten married, and we wanted to start a family, and I didn't want to be that kind of dad. So, where I was working weekends and nights. So got into the corporate world and learned a ton at the next job. And this will tie in. I think we were talking about really our connection's been through relationships. But so I got into sales, started making some money, grew through the corporate ladder. So I tried the corporate route, didn't like that. Got into another corporate position where it was all about sales, but it was cold calling, and I was recruiting and training. And literally I was teaching guys to make, they were making 6 figures back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but it was a tough job, high turnover. And it just really was antithetical to what I enjoyed doing. I loved helping the salespeople. I loved helping them grow and develop their business, but I hated how they were doing it, and how I was teaching them to do it, which was all cold calling, which wasn't very fulfilling. But anyway, I ended up running that company for the guy, and I was there for about 7 years, and honestly just got burnt out. My kids had kids at that point in time, and then I was looking for something that was going to be a little bit more fulfilling. And I had a friend that was in the mortgage business, and he worked for a little regional bank, and he just kept recruiting me, and essentially that was a mentor. And as I mentioned, I didn't have many of those growing up outside of the family. And this guy really kind of showed me the ropes on how to build a business. And really, honestly, it could have been anything. It just happened to be mortgages. It wasn't the service. It wasn't that I was passionate about mortgages. I was passionate about building my own business where I could have the freedom of time and money. And so that was what the reason I jumped into the mortgage business, and it was straight commission. And I knew that I didn't want to do it through cold calling because I had a bad experience with that with the previous job. So I knew I wanted to build it on relationships, and that's what I did. And I had some success. I was in the right time at the right place, good mentor, some good sales training from my previous careers, but really started building relationships with strategic partners that came across my ideal client often, and just had some success. And anyway, go on. And then you and I met. I had been in the industry for a while, and then you and I met through Aaron Walker's group, Iron Sharpens Iron. Was there for a while, and that launched me into a coaching. I joined Aaron because I wanted to get it. I had a successful mortgage practice, but I really loved helping small business owners, commission sales professionals build a relationship marketing system that would give them referrals so they get the results they were looking for, really to help them win at work and at home. So that's kind of a long story for a short answer, but I hope that gave you the kind of a platform to work off of there, Rocky.
It did. Out of curiosity, did you ever go back to college?
You know what? I went back for a short period, but I was a dad, and I never finished.
And clearly you're successful regardless.
You know what? Here's what I would say. If you want the honest answer, I wish I would have, but I will tell you the benefit behind it is, well, I can see we both share an affinity for books. Just because I didn't go to school didn't mean I wasn't pursuing an education. I'm an avid, Jim Rohn, I heard him say, even while I was not going, right after college, I got a hold of some tapes from Jim Rohn, and Jim, I heard Jim say things like if you want to reach the things on the top shelf of life, you got to stand on the books you read. So I started consuming. Personal development became a passion of mine. And so I started reading and started working on things. And so that was a huge component. So like I said, no degree, but definitely have an education. So
what is that quote? Don't let school get in the way of an education.
Well, that it definitely didn't for me. So,
well, and the reason I say that is because a lot of the books that we have both read are not going to be used in college.
Mm-mm.
And so I just found, because I have an MBA, it didn't teach me about business. And I found that these people were extremely disconnected from what it really takes to run a business and to be successful.
I think, here's my take. I've put 3 daughters through college. I did encourage them to get a college degree. And I think the discipline, I've called college the halfway house of life. I mean, they go and you learn some independence, you have responsibilities. I'm glad my girls did it. There are some questions about what's happening with our college environment, what's being taught and how useful it is. My opinion, though, is that soft skills, the relationship building skills, I wish there was a formal process. You're passionate about money and helping people with profit first. I'm passionate about relationships. Those are 2 categories that aren't even remotely touched in school. So that is a pet peeve after, paying for three daughters.
Well, and honestly, I think the truth is the reason you go to college is to build the right network. But
Yeah.
you've got to go to a college that is network worthy, right? Otherwise, it's not necessarily worth. And I went to a state school. Both of my things were state schools. And honestly, I would say for the most part, they weren't necessarily network worthy. These days, people seem to go because they've got a great football team. And okay, I mean, your love of the same football team can build a network, but I don't know if that's the best way to do it. And I think what's really changed, and what I told my kids, and they did go to college, in today's world, you can build a network anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can build a network with top people. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about that. I've met, I know McAllowitz. I haven't met Cunningham, but I've met Dan Sullivan just recently.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of these different people and other people because we've had them on the podcast. It is not that hard to network up if you put the time and the effort into doing it and finding your way into the right rooms. People want to hang out with successful people. That's just the truth. And successful people are trying to find successful people to hang out with, right?
Yes, they
So
are.
but I think that's a secret people don't realize. A lot of people are like, oh, why would they want to talk to me? Well, it depends. Are you somebody who can, or you don't even have to be successful, right? Because if you're young looking for the mentor, like you talked about, people want to mentor young people. They want to be able to do those types of things.
You know what? I think, Rocky, you hit on something. I've got a daughter. She's a senior right now. And I've been meeting with her on a weekly basis, really just teaching her, how, she's going to have to find a job. And there's 2 ways to do it. You can go on to the job boards and try to apply and hope you get. She doesn't have some specialized skill. She's smart. She's got a big heart. She's going to do well in the world. But I told her, I said, it's not going to be, your resume probably won't get you a job. It's going to be who you know. And so we've been working on that and trying to help her make connections, add value to people, get them to where they want to help you. Anyway, so that is a skill that I think is sorely missing in, it's a crying shame that she's gone to 4 years of school and that hasn't been taught. So that's a whole, again, back to that. But and as her dad, it's something that I'm passionate about. I want to help her. And so she's getting into rooms with people that honestly, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but relationships will take you places that traditional marketing just can't. She could have bought a billboard and said, hey, I'm looking to meet cool people. And it wouldn't have gotten her in the doors that she's been able to meet with some of the most successful people in the city that she's in, based off of relationships and introductions that she's gotten and just showing up and having a servant's heart. So anyway, I'm bragging about my daughter a little bit, but the point is the principles all play the same as what you're talking about.
Go ahead. I brag about my kids. You can brag about yours. Well, my daughter got to meet Seth Godin.
Yeah.
And Seth remembered her. And she's met other people like that. It's easier than you imagine. And that's the one thing that I don't know why they don't teach kids, that the moment you show up at college, the first thing you need to do is create your LinkedIn profile. And every week, connect with 5 people on LinkedIn. Because if you do it as a freshman, you're not a threat. as a senior, you're some kid looking for a job, and that's the
Right.
last thing I need to connect with.
Yep.
But if you're a freshman just asking, hey, I'm in this industry or I'm picking a major, and I'd really like to understand what it means to be that person, and you look like you're that person. Would you share your wisdom? And like,
Exactly.
boom,
Can I get some advice?
can I get some advice? And the door's open.
That's it's not that complicated. It's
No.
let me rephrase. What's the old adage? It's simple but not easy. So
So why do so many people struggle at this?
that's a good question, Rocky. I think. By the way, I'm going to speak from a business sense,
Yeah.
because that's primarily in my coaching consulting business. I work with small business. I mean, whether they're successful or not, there is this desire of how do I know it's going to pay off? Exactly.
So, well, no, but I'll give you the answer, and I learned the answer from I can't remember. I'm gonna have to find his name. Do you know who had the Art of Charm podcast? He's pretty big. I forget
Yeah.
his name now, and I've met him. He's no longer on the podcast. He was the guy who originally started it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
His thing was, and I met him in person, and that's where I kind of learned the behind the scenes, which he's like, your hit percentage is pretty low, meaning you can network with 100 people and maybe 2 or 3 are going to pay off. But his attitude was, look, one grand slam and you're done for life. So you just keep going out there and you keep doing it because you don't need 100 wins. You need 2 or 3. And you might have to get up at bat 100 times for those 2 or 3. And maybe those 2 or 3 take you from level 1 to level 2. And then at level 2, you do it again. And
Yeah.
you keep going.
Well, like I said, the relationships here, personal opinion, relationships will take you places that traditional marketing can't. There's doors that open. And I would say, the question, I think you asked me why most people don't do it. It's because they don't understand that, does it take some time? Most people say, how long is that going to take me? Because they're looking for a quick turnaround, and there's the answer is, it's not, the question really isn't how long is it going to take? The question is, if you build relationships, it's, how far will they take you? It's not how long will it take to do this? It's how far will it take you if you do it? And what I found is that relationships, if I needed, you and I both know Aaron Walker. We spent some time, love the guy. You could pick up the phone today and ask Aaron for some help, and he would drop everything to do it. And that's what relationships are about. And if you can build relationships with the right people, it opens doors. And, anyway, so I could keep going on and on.
If you're a new listener, I think there's like 3 episodes with Aaron Walker. You can go back and listen to him. And the person I was thinking of is Jordan Harbinger.
Yes.
He's got a massive podcast, but that was a big part of what he taught was the art of networking and how to build those up over time. And I think that's the question though, right? What is that radio station that everyone listens to?
Yeah.
What's in it for me?
Yeah. With them.
So, but if your attitude is like that, then that's going to make it a struggle because it's really what's in it for them.
Yeah.
And you have to shift the way you look at them.
Rocky, do you mind? Probably one of the best that I know. I know I mentioned relationships, and I think we got one of the things we talked about was our friend John Rulin. If you talk about a guy who, the short story, I met John through an event that I was running called the Mastermind Project, which I know you and I've spoken about that before, but John was the master of building relationships. And I was fortunate enough to have him speak at an event, just like, you've got a podcast. The event was nothing more than a monthly event for people to come and kind of learn about. And anyway, John spoke at that. And in true John fashion, he just shared some wisdom on building relationships and, how to love on people without the expectation of a return, but that it just ended up coming back in spades for him. And anyway, so we talk about books. I don't know, you may have heard me mention, but he wrote his last book, Beyond Giftology. Tragically, he passed away before it was finished, and the team at Giftology finished it. But if I could put a plug in for that book and John, he was literally the master of building a radically referable network. There's people that would bend over backwards to help John with anything. And he did it because he just loved on people.
And I think that's the key. It's not many people are focused on themselves and not on the other person. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have a very difficult time, I think, in building those types of networks. Now, you mentioned you had a networking group. I did attend it a couple times. You had a pretty massive networking group that turned into a very good referral group for your mortgage business, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this is the reason I think it's important, because as business owners, people are always looking like, how do I get more clients? How do I do this? And in today's world, everyone wants to post stuff on social media, and people don't realize you pretty much have to pay to play on social media these days. It gets very, very expensive, and it's getting harder and harder. And you're not really building a relationship.
No. Well, I think, there's a tension. Social media will get you attention, but it won't get you loyalty. And I think relationships can get you loyalty. And I think, at least for the clients that I work with, we try to help them build emotional loyalty. And I don't want, in terms of, you were talking about the event, I started an event, and emotional loyalty was important to me. Not everybody on your show that's listening to this might be familiar with I'll try to not make it about an industry, but at least in the mortgage space, and please, shoulder industries were the key driver. You could either go do billboards or advertising, paid advertising. And candidly, when I got into the mortgage business, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be known by financial advisors. I wanted to be known by real estate agents, estate planning attorneys, CPAs. I wanted, how many relationships could I get that they knew me, that would think of me when it came to somebody that needed to either purchase a home or refinance a home. That's when I got the idea. I got encouraged to start an event, and I know you're looking back there at your books. And but yeah, I had somebody that encouraged me to start an event, and that was a great way to build relationships. And it's one of the best ways. You are running a podcast that hopefully helps solve problems or gives encouragement to people to solve a problem, that then you're building an affinity relationship with them. You're building emotional loyalty because you're providing them value about something that's important. That's all the Mastermind Project was. We started talking about ways to build relationships, strategies to do it, and people just started flocking. So I think people are looking for ways. They want more relationships, but they don't know how to do it. And so that's what the event was. And I ran that event for 12 years, by the way. Once a month, free event, local, community-based. And yes. And then till COVID hit, and that made it possible for you to attend, Rocky, which was awesome.
Well, so you said emotional loyalty. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, emotional loyalty. There's really three types of loyalty. And I got a good friend, John Israel. He's known as Mr. Thank You. I learned this from him. But John talks about there's contractual loyalty, which is where, you've got a contract. You were talking about a vendor that you signed a contract with, and you're loyal to that contract. But as soon as that contract ends, you're going to look for a better price, or you're going to look for better results. You're going to be looking for something else. And that loyalty is only as long as the contract lasts. Then there's habitual loyalty. And those are things that you do. Maybe it's a dry cleaner. Maybe it's your favorite restaurant that you go there, and you'll do that until you find something better. And then there's emotional loyalty. And, that's the restaurant that you go to where they know your name. They know your kids' names. They take good care of you. It would take a lot. It'd take more than it's going to take a multiple. It takes a lot to leave that, because you're emotionally connected. And I think if we can build emotional loyalty in our businesses with just a few relationships, it changes everything. And so the emotional loyalty is one where people will run through a wall to stay with you with your core business or service, or refer you to other people because you're emotionally connected with them.
How do you do that?
That is the age-old question. You love on people. That's what you do. You love on people. I say love on, not, I can only speak to what my experience has been. Rocky, everybody has a core competence. Here's what I love about you. And this is an example. You're not talking about numbers, and you're not talking about money. You're talking about helping people solve problems outside of just your core competence. You'll touch on it a little bit here, but you're not focused on it and driving it home. When we can help other people, and you've heard it, Zig Ziglar said, if you just help enough people, get what they want, you can have everything you want. Well, that concept is so true. And my experience has been, so for instance, the Mastermind Project, when I started running an event on a monthly basis that was free, because I knew there was going to be a commission-based sales professional in that room that was struggling to make a car payment, maybe their mortgage payment, because they didn't have a commission check coming in. And they were being told to go out and sell, sell, sell. And I think it's relationship, relationship, relationship. I wanted them to hear something or meet someone in that room that would change the trajectory of their business through giving, through generosity, through gratitude, through curiosity. I think those are three traits that, how do you do it? Gratitude, curiosity, generosity. And if you can build those in. And so I just started asking questions what people were struggling with. They were struggling to build a referral-based business. We started talking about referral-based strategies at that event. And emotional loyalty got built because I wasn't asking for anything. I was asking for them to go grow their business, go be a force for good in the world. So I think if we can encourage people with gratitude, curiosity, generosity, and I know those are three broad terms and we can probably dive in applicably, but it's just finding ways to create dopamine in their brain. That's really what it comes down to.
This episode of Richer Soul is sponsored by the Profit Answer Man podcast. If you're a business owner who wants to scale and grow, increase profits, or want to have strategic conversations around your financials, then check out the podcast. You'll learn how to work less, increase cash flow, increase profits, and build reserves to help you weather storms. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. Can you give us examples of those? Because I think people say these words, but then everyone's got a different definition or a different way of looking at that lens.
Yeah, I'll do it from the standpoint of being a sales professional or a business owner, and also do it from a referral standpoint. I'll start from a referral standpoint. I've got a coaching client. She's a financial advisor, and she wants to be known for helping women in transition. I'm walking through it, and I'm learning about what she's doing. She's sharing her heart about why she wants to help people. I get a phone call from a buddy who's got someone who's battling cancer, female, about to die, needs a financial advisor. He asked me who I recommended. Who do you think I recommended?
Him?
I recommended the woman who is a financial advisor that helps women in transition. Why? Because she was pouring out. She was trying to help other people understand, not about financial advising. She was trying to help people in transitions. Part of that was financial. But the point is, how do you do it? You have a message that resonates, that isn't, I want to be careful what I say here, because there's some professionals that will go out, whether it's financial advisors, and social media is filled with it. They talk about their core competence and how good they are. And I don't think that builds a relationship. It's completely transactional. I think if you can find ways, the story for me is another financial advisor who, when I was in the day-to-day mortgage experience, he and I just continued to connect, and we learned about each other's business and how we solved problems for each other. That was part of it. In terms of building relationships, we talk about building a connection plan. I think strategizing on how to do that. So I can talk about the specifics, or I can talk about the strategy. But in my opinion, if you're going to build a relationship-based business, you need a connection plan. You're going to have relationships, you collect, you organize them, you prioritize them, and then you build an engagement strategy for each one of those that involves touches. It's all about phone calls. What can you do? Having phone calls, events, we run more events for our clients and our strategic partners probably than anyone else in the mortgage space in the town that we're in. Why? Because we're trying to help them build their business. So we do events for fun that are social, but we do a lot of business development events. We focus on ways to help our referral partners build their business. So if you can build strategies around that, that's a game changer for people that will run through a brick wall to help you. So it's just creating a sense of reciprocity.
I think, and this is where I find people run into it. They all want tactics. Mm-hmm. They don't want to focus on a strategy. And I think that's the problem, because if you just use tactics, but you don't have a strategy, you end up doing a lot of work and not getting a lot of return, because you haven't thought it through the whole way, so to speak.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Rocky, but I think, well, first of all, I agree with you. I think tactics, look, in my opinion, relationships are going to require emotion. And every day somebody shows up at work and they're trying to sell something, they're trying to get their tasks done. They've got payroll that's coming up or a mortgage payment that's coming, whether they're highly successful, they all have these aspirations and they want to do it they'd love to build their business with more referrals. I haven't met a business owner that doesn't want more referrals, but they don't know how to get them. And it does take a strategy. It does take a game plan. You and I were talking about AI. I think there's a new AI that's really, what's new is what's old. It's I call AI, the new AI for me is authentic and intentional. You mind if I share a story, coaching client?
No, go ahead.
I shared that with him. I said, hey, I just need you to be authentic and intentional. He made a list of the top people that I said, I want you to make a list of people you care about, that you want to love on, that you don't have any, you just want to love on them. He made a list. And this is where you and I have talked about giftology in the past, but he ended up sending out a series. He put a little campaign together and he just started loving on them. He sent a couple nice gifts out. One of these individuals responded. This was his mentor. His mentor, who he was talking to about once a year, but he sent a nice gift and he put a nice handwritten note with it. And the mentor reached out to him and said, oh my gosh, thank you. He goes, the gift is amazing. He said, the gift is amazing. He said, but the handwritten note that you sent me meant the world. I just wanted to call and say, thank you. You made my day. 2 weeks later, he literally gets what is going to be probably $100,000 annual revenue for his business, gets a referral that's going to produce about $100,000 worth of profit for his business. Not just revenue, but profit. So my point is he was authentic and he was intentional. So with a strategy, I think we've gotten away from, it's easy to get away from authentic and intentional. It just is. There's a lot of distractions. So, but yes, and handwritten notes is one example. I think, one of the things we do and that we share inside of, and I think I mentioned this to you, we put a program together inside of Giftology where we just put a list together of demonstrations of value to show people how they can love on people. There's about 17 to 20 different things you can do there. Handwritten notes is one of them. These don't cost much. They're just authentic and they're intentional. The next time you're going home and you think about somebody, or you've got a list of people that you just want to express gratitude, call them and tell them what you appreciate about them. Don't ask for anything. It's the call of awesomeness. It's amazing what ends up happening. And I can share story after story. I had a client who just did that. And his referral partner called him back and said, I appreciate that call so much. I know we haven't talked in about 2 years, but you don't know how much I needed to hear that. I was struggling that day. And candidly, you made my day. Matter of fact, I wanted to call you, say thank you. And number two, I got somebody you need to help. you got a referral from it. So anyway, I could go on, Rocky, on this stuff, but it's authentic, intentional is the key in today's world if you want to build relationships.
And again, every one of them's not going to turn into business.
No, but it feels good doing it, whether it does or doesn't.
I agree with you. It's just that your examples all turned into business, and I want people to realize that that those are the outlier, not the outlier, but those are not the norm. Like a lot of times you may not get a response. You may get a positive response. You may get a negative response. You never know. But part of that is because you don't know what those people are going through.
Right.
Right. And so there might be something going on their end. The other part of that is I think also the vulnerability. Sharing your struggles goes over extremely well. And I some people will, some people won't. They it varies. Through that.
Rocky, I would agree with you. I would say, I think there was a light bulb moment. I think everybody has this. I did have some success in the mortgage business prior to learning all of this and the go-giver and just getting this idea of trying to be a giver in the marketplace. And you've probably heard of Adam Grant's book, Give and Take. My guess is it's probably back there on your shelf somewhere. But he talked about the difference between givers, takers, and matchers. And when I decided that I was going to go all in on the gratitude and the curiosity and the generosity, honestly, I could go home at the end of the day knowing. And truth of the matter is one of my spiritual gifts and gifts is encouragement. I love being an encouragement to other people. I knew that if I did that it would eventually come back around because the world is missing some of that, in my opinion. So, but to your point, it doesn't always work, but you don't need it to work for everyone. You only need a few.
And that's the key. And you have to keep doing it, right? It's a systematic consistent thing. It's not like, oh, I did it 4 times and nothing happened.
It is a discipline that needs to be exercised. There's no question.
It is. Now, you've got a program now where you're actually coaching people. You kind of mentioned about your shift to coaching. Can you share a little bit about that and what you do and what that's all about?
I was running the mastermind event where, if you just behind the scenes, I'm a mortgage guy, but I didn't show up and talk about mortgages. I showed up, I was talking about relationship marketing. I was talking about productivity, leadership topics. And I was just trying to help people in the audience build their business. Some people started reaching out to me and wanted more information. That's honestly how this is a funny story about how you and I actually met. That's when I heard Aaron Walker on a podcast. And so I spent about 6 years mentoring with Aaron Walker. It's where you and I met through Iron Sharpens Iron. And anyway, I told Aaron that I wanted to do that. And he said, jump in. So anyway, back about 6-7 years ago, I started, I've got a group called The Boardroom. So very small group, small business owner, commission sales professionals, all relationally driven and building their business and their companies through relationships. So yeah, I do that. It's one of the favorite parts of my week is spending time with that group. And it's a true mastermind group. And Rocky, I know you've been in groups like that and with Iron Sharpens Iron and maybe others, but that's a real passion of mine, is really helping those small business owners build their version of special, so that they can win at work and at home. So I do that. And then I'm also a part of, I mentioned John Rulin earlier. There's a education and training that I do through those guys, through Giftology. And we've created a little program called Rich Relationship Society. So that's a community where if people are looking to just dive in, that part is, they can get access to the training there. So it's a great way for me to spend some time in something that I love doing, that I've had a little bit of success in sharing that with other people.
And it's always fun to do what you love. It becomes natural. And I say you become unbeatable. And what I mean by that is, because you love doing it so much, you're constantly improving and working on it. And you're going to go deeper than somebody who's trying to make a buck.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just fun. And when you can find those connections in life between what you love doing and how you generate income and how you spend your time, it becomes really, really cool to put all of that together and to kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, one day I'm going to be like Rocky.
Oh, so where do you see people struggle the most with this? Like, where do they hit a wall, or where do they just kind of not get it?
In terms of building a relationship-based business, referrals, it's just my experience. So there's several ways. I think, first of all, there's the matter of the heart. I think there's some people that have a heart and would love to build relationships, but the world tells them to go sell, sell, sell. So usually the thing that I hear from most clients is, when I'm helping them, is I don't know who to talk to build relationships with. And once I do, I don't know what to say. It's that simple. So that's usually where it goes wrong. And then even if they know who to talk to, they confuse in a referral based business, they confuse their client with their referral partners. They sell to their referral partners like they're selling to a client. And that's just it's a hard thing for people to grasp. But, in the financial services world, I don't need to talk to a financial advisor about mortgages like I'm explaining it to a client. I need to love on that. I need to figure out what I can do to help that financial advisor build his business. What can I do to help him either build his business, or what can I do to make sure he knows I care about him outside of just his referrals? And so I think that's where people go wrong, is they don't know who to talk to, they don't know what to say, and they don't put a plan together that's authentic and intentional to build those relationships.
How do you keep track of it all? That's one of my biggest struggles, of just creating the rhythm and the follow-up and everything tends to slip through the cracks.
It's a great question, and it is often asked. So everyone has a different, by the way, we are at Giftology, we're coming up with a solution for that. We're creating a CRM plugin for that to help people automate or operationalize this relationship game. So That's one, is to create systems. But other than that, Rocky, it's simple, relatively simple. Make sure if you look at your calendar, are you putting time on there? So if you choose, if outreach is going to be something and you're calling and you're making your relational calls, are they on your calendar? Do you have a list of people? Do you keep track of who your best, again, collect, organize, and prioritize? Are the top relationships, do you have time set aside to reach out to your top relationships? Is that on your calendar? And that's, if it's not, then you probably won't, you'll lose sight of it. And so that's where most people is, they've got to figure out how to integrate the who with the when, and then a what. So,
and you got to keep good notes, or you're one of those people who memorizes everything. Either one's fine. My wife is the memorizer. I'm the note person.
I think a great CRM is, I often get asked, if you had $1,000 to invest in your business and you're doing it all over again, get a good CRM.
I started using a CRM back in the early 90s called Act, and I loved it. And when the iPhone came out, they really got behind in moving to that type of a platform, and I stopped using it. But I always loved it because it was so simple and so elegantly easy. All the ones that I see now overwhelm me, and that's the problem. I'm like, can you just keep this down to simplicity?
Totally agree with you, Rocky. Totally agree with you.
Have you found a simple one, or do you end up just making it work for you?
My opinion of what's simple is irrelevant. Here's what it comes down to. If you're looking at it objectively, yes, there probably are some out there that are more simple than others. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how simple it is. It matters how disciplined you are at using it. And that's, there's the old adage of what's the best CRM out there? And you know what the answer is. Yeah. So it's the one you log into every day, and you actually learn it and use it. You make it like the iPhone. You pick up the iPhone, you use it. So CRM, use it.
Yeah. And for me, it was just an easy way to schedule a follow-up, for me to remember, an easy way to keep notes, and an easy way to put people into groups. That's all I wanted. Like,
you are light years ahead of most, right? Which, of course, you knew that. So
it made it simple, and unfortunately, they get overly cumbersome, or they're not easily to customize to your particular needs. So I still struggle with it. I'm working on improving it every time, and I get there.
Okay, Rocky, by the way, you're just, I'm going to give you my perspective, having known you. You're being a little hard on yourself. You've got a really good database. I know you. So, but that's one of the things that I would say is relationally driven people, when it comes to CRMs, they're always wanting to improve that CRM so that they can candidly love on more people. How do you keep in touch with more people? How do you organize it? How do you have a bigger, our CRM is our influence, and influence is how our businesses are built, especially when it comes to relational collateral. So, yeah. Anyway, don't beat yourself up too much.
No, I always like to improve. And so these are my improvement things. I'm not beating myself up. I'm like, I want to get a little bit easier. And I want to be, here's the truth. Okay. I don't admit it often. I'm extremely lazy. So the easier I can make this for me, the better. So how do I do that? Maybe that's a better way to say it. Right?
That is honestly what you just said right there. I would reposition that. Lazy is also, if I were putting that into a phrase, we're always trying to figure out how do we pack in as much value in the shortest amount of time. I think that's the game we play as entrepreneurs. How can I provide value with the least amount of effort or time? That's what I think a CRM does. It gives you leverage that you just can't do otherwise. So I think every second you pour into it, pays off in hours later.
No, it definitely does. Anything else that we should talk about on the relationship side?
You've done a great job.
All right. Earlier on, you mentioned profit first, and you use that in your business. How's it helped you?
The peace of mind, candidly, I think in any business, I'll give you just a general philosophy. I've got in my career, I've had my own business, but it was a W-2. So it was straight commission at a company because I didn't want to run everything. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur that I could focus on my strengths. When I started my coaching practice, though, the biggest concern that I had was, number one, I don't want to have any surprises. I didn't want a tax bill. I want to make sure I had enough money for expenses. And so this prompts you to be proactive about planning for those things. And so just getting that framework set up gave me an immense amount of peace of mind. And I'm blessed that business, it's becoming a bigger component as I transition into that more. I'm going to getting more in that zone of genius that you were talking about. But it gives you a peace of mind that you've got a system to invest in your business, to make sure that you're paying yourself, to make sure that you don't have any surprises. Like I said, I don't want any financial surprises. So I've got my account set up, and if there's a tax bill that pops up, boom, I've got it covered. So yeah, so it's a peace of mind and a process that made sense to me.
It is. It's built on proven principles. It's simple to use.
Exactly.
You can use it in your personal side or on your business side. I use it on both. And it just gives every dollar a job, and it sends it to do that job. And as long as you're disciplined to not steal from yourself, then it's guaranteed to build your wealth. Like, just does it.
Yep.
And it's easy.
It is. By the way, I'm going to come back. It's simple, and it is. Yes, it is easy if you just do it. You've got to stay. Yeah.
Well, you don't nowadays. There's actually overlays that will actually move your money for you. On the personal side, it's all automated for me. On the business side, I do it manually, but I only do it once a month. But we work with RelayFi, and Relay will move your money for you and put it where it belongs, and do a lot of the work for you so that you don't even have to do that part of it. Life has gotten really simple. You just have to set it up, and that really doesn't take that long.
Well, Rocky, you are an example of, so I mentioned intentional. You're intentional with that. That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah. Make it easy. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, but love it. So.
It's time to learn the secrets of life.
What's one truth about success you wish more people understood?
One truth about success. The first thing that comes to mind, by the way, is the question about getting success or having success?
It's the truth about having success that you wish more people understood.
I can tell you in my time with successful people, the mindset behind successful people is there's always challenges, and it's how you handle those challenges that, in my opinion, makes the difference, and seeing opportunity in that. Success is finding opportunity in the challenges. That's the biggest thing. And then the second thing I was going to say is I like to spend time around study, practice, teach people. So that's getting success. I don't know that was your question. So, but
no, that's okay. For everyone, they're going to have a different answer. I will say, because I was also in sales, I love problems, because problems is where people are willing to take action.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big part of it. What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
Probably, well, there's some faith-based answers there. I wish I would have taken more of an interest from a faith perspective in terms of getting to know my Lord and Savior a little bit quicker and being a little bit more open to the wisdom that the Holy Spirit's willing to provide me. That's one answer. And then, probably realizing the wisdom of the people around me sooner in life than what it took me to realize it. So.
Yeah, a lot of us have that problem. This one's right up your alley. If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Soft skills, relationship building would be the number one thing. Actually, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give two. Okay. I've forced my daughters to learn to spend some time understanding how to build relationships, how to love on people in a business setting that's appropriate and builds influence. That would be number one. But number two, I think I would be doing a disservice to my kids if I didn't say they need to figure out what role will AI play in their lives. We didn't really talk about it much there, but I think I don't think AI is going to replace relationships, but I think it's going to integrate. We're going to have to figure out how it integrates in our businesses if we're in a relationship business, driven business. So anyway, 18-year-old, I'd say relationships and AI, kind of two spectrums.
I think we're going to get blowback with AI. I love AI. I use it all day long. But what I think is going to happen, and it has more to do with a bunch of things beyond AI, because AI can create so much content and you can't tell what's real and what's not. I think face-to-face relationships where I know it's you
Yep.
and not an automated chatbot, an automated somebody writing your email. I think face-to-face relationships are going to be the true gold going forward in a world of AI.
Rocky, that is, we probably should have had that conversation a little earlier. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But I think, yes, I think when it comes to our businesses, it's going to be, how does AI help us enhance relationships, not replace them? And again, I told you, in my opinion, there's two AIs that I just talked about. There's the AI that we know as artificial intelligence, but then there's the authentic and intentional AI. Those are the two. I would say you got to have an 18-year-old. I would say get a grasp of both. But if you had to pick a dose, if you're technically proficient, maybe it's the AI, the artificial intelligence. But man, you'll never go wrong in developing soft skills about building relationships.
And AI can teach you
soft
skills too, and help you practice them and help you refine yours to create the voice that you want. And that's the right way, I think, to use it, is to help you improve and be your thought partner. And we've done episodes on that.
Yeah.
If people would like to learn more about you and connect, what's the best way for them to find you?
Really easy. BrianKMcRae.com. www.Brian, B-R-I, it is an I, A-N-K, middle initial and last name MCRAE.com.
And we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Rocky, you're a blessing, man. Thank you so much.
If you'd like an introduction to Giftology and their program, reach out to me. I'm happy to make a connection to that group. At the end of the day, chasing shortcuts, automation, AI isn't going to win in the long term. It's creating those authentic, intentional human connections, creating that emotional loyalty. It's not something you can buy or kind of cheat your way into. You have to do the work. You have to connect with people, and you never know where it takes you and the connections it makes. I know for me, it's been pretty inspiring and pretty awe-opening. If you know someone who needs to learn how to make better connections, would you do me a favor and share this with them? I appreciate it. Maybe it'll help you make a better connection with them. Thanks for listening. Have an abundant week.